The way in which automotive public relations has changed, especially in the realms of YouTube and car influencers of YouTube, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. A lot of this has to do with the proliferation of technology and the power of influencers over the last few years. Influencers is a new way for brands to be able to reach out to a greater range of audiences, and with that, use the PESO model in order to gain a greater following for the brand. Now, PESO is defined as the different types of media that a brand can use to gain reputation. It's quite a simple PR-related theory. Basically, it stands for paid media, earned media, shared media, and owned media. So paid is obviously when you pay someone to do a sponsorship for you. Earned is where someone will offer to do it for you because of your already solidified reputation. Shared is very social media heavy, so it's when your content gets shared on social media so that more people can see it. And then owned, which is the media that you already have, say a website, your social media, etc. But with automotive journalism, it's changed a lot in the last few years, significantly. Because in the past, when a new car was launched, they'd take it to a car show. They'd take it to a car show, stick it on a stand, and let hundreds of thousands of people watch it and look at it, right? And that would be the PR. But with the rise of automotive journalists online, there's a new tactic they're using, which is brilliant. The prime example of this is Shmee150, who's a channel on YouTube, who's a big automotive influence. Real name, Tim Burton. He's one of the most popular influencers out there. He's got a massive car collection. He's got Ford GT, a Zenvo TSRS, Mercedes AMG GT Black Series, SLS Black Series. He's got a lot. And he's got a spectacular knowledge of cars, which really helps him when it comes to this form of PR. So he's known for a series that he shows how to buy a supercar from a buyer's perspective. So like he bought a McLaren 675 LT, and rather than just saying, I've bought this, I've picked this up, he went through the whole process. He went through picking the colour, picking the spec, going through the build process. He did the whole thing, and it's one of his finest series because it really does give an insight into what it's like as a supercar buyer. Since then, manufacturers took notice of this, and they invited him using paid media, so they paid him to come out to all their factories and wherever, just to test drive their cars, just to say, look, here's our brand new car, take it out, see what you think of it. Obviously, it's not completely unbiased because he is being paid by these manufacturers to do it, so you've got to take that into account a little bit. But it's thought he's driven some of the world's finest and rarest cars. Like he's driven a Lamborghini Veneno. There's only 7 of them in the world. He's driven Bugattis, he's driven Koenigsegg's, he's driven Pagani's, he's driven Hennessy's, he's driven basically every single hypercar the world has ever seen. And yeah, it's an example of paid media because they were paying this influencer to promote their cars through his content. It's also an example of shared media because the content gets shared and mentioned on all of his social media platforms, be it his YouTube, his Instagram, his Facebook, everything. So there's a multitude of content. It's taking a greater turn now because usually they would invite influencers like Shmee150 to post-launch events. So once the car's been announced and launched, they'll invite him to bring it. But recently, manufacturers have started to invite him for like pre-release videos. Like he will be presented in a studio with a brand new car that the public don't know about, or if the public do know about, it hasn't been launched yet, so they have no idea what it is. And he will conduct a first glance video of just saying like, look, this is this new car, and all the technical specs, all that, without driving it, which is a slight downside because obviously you do need to drive a car to feel what they're like. But one of the biggest successes from this was Lotus. Now Lotus recently relaunched their whole range. They scrapped the Exige, the Evora, and the Elise, and obviously the all-electric Evija came out, the 1,000 horsepower electric Evija, and they're releasing a whole new range. So the Emira was the big one, the 3.5 litre V6 sports car, which is what Lotus are known for. It was a very brave step for Lotus because they were going into brand new territory. They were basically rebranding their whole business, and so they invited people like Shmi 150. They invited Jensen Button, who's very close with Lotus with the Radford project, and plenty of other automotive YouTubers to basically look at this car in the studio and say, what do you think? Do you like it? Shmi 150 has actually purchased a Lotus Emira since then, which is even better for Lotus's PR because they've clearly made an impression on him. Despite the fact that they paid him for the promotion, he has liked this car and he's bought one. So yeah, and it does show how important the PESO model is in the modern world of PR, and mainly how Shmi 150 has changed the way cars are launched and promoted, because with this level of interactivity with an audience, as well as him actually buying the cars that are mentioned, it really does make a difference.